Pretty cool, huh? You don't like that? It's okay, but look at this. Hey campers, Georgia, back in the man cave with the boss. We're just discussing some fixed blade knives that I got. These two, they're both new to me. Haven't owned any of them before, or the manufacturer. Have you? Let's check them out. So what we were talking about is my birthday was last month, and I got a knife in the mail from my brother Brian, and he's in California, and he sent me this as a birthday present, and I thought it very interesting. I'd never heard of these guys, and it's Damascus steel. I have never owned a Damascus steel knife. So I thought that would be interesting. And I hadn't heard of the well, I think I'd seen the name before. Then there's this guy. And I got to tell you, remember the big mail call, okay, from Keith with the 50 plus knives. Well, I felt that, I got to say thank you somehow. And he wouldn't, he was like, man, no problem. So I thought I'd just run over there and drop him off a mug, one of these 2CG mugs. And knock on the door. He opens the door. Here you go. And he goes, glad you're here. Come and look at this. And we were looking at some of his knives. I actually said to him, okay, I have a question. I want to see your favorite knives, the ones you really like. And I thought that interesting. And we went through a bunch of stuff. Very cool knives, I will say that. And as you know, Keith is kind of a private guy. He doesn't really want to be on a video or anything like that, and I understand that. As I was leaving, he gave me a bag of knives. And I was like, again? Really? And he said, no, these are for you. And then he said, he had two knives on the table, and he said, here are these two knives here. My brother's, they fixed blade, and his brother was a folder guy. That's most of the knives he gave me. He said, pick one. They're exactly the same. They're slightly different. The handles were kind of a differentish color. Not a big difference, but they were exactly the same. So I was like, closed my eyes and grabbed one. And this is the one that I grabbed. You see this? Pretty cool sheath, fairly straightforward, typical camping bushcrafty style sheath. It has the leather belt and a dangler, which I really like. I like to wear a dangler. And not only that, it's got a fire striker, ferro rod with a striker. And this striker, by the way, and this ferro rod is from Light My Fire. Here's the knife. If there's one knife that I could choose, somebody said to me, you're out there and you need to survive. What type of knife would you need? And I've always said that a bushcraft knife is what I'd want. And I'm a big fan of this one, which is, if you look at this guy here, this is the Bush Law. You can see there. I don't know if you can see that. It says Bush Law on it, and it's made by Condor Knives. If I need a knife to get... Mary got bored. I think of all the knives I own, even including my Knives of Alaska camp knife, which I live by, this is the one I want, because you can do just about any camp chore and make anything out of wood or anything like that you need to survive. And that's the Bush Law. And here it is here. Well, look at this guy. Right? It's like a mini Bush Law. The only difference is the Bush Law is made by Condor. This one, Blind Horse Knives. Yeah, that's what it's called. Blind Horse Knives. Never heard of them. And then I'm looking at this guy and I'm thinking, wow, look at it. This is a beautiful little knife, fits my hand nicely. Oh, I was so excited. But here it is here. And like I said, it's made by Blind Horse Knives. And it has this Mikada handle on it. I forget the name. I believe in the description, and I had to go and search for this. It's the black Mikada canvas handle. And I'm going to tell you, it's smooth, but it's still grippy. Very nice. And I really like that. I like that. It just feels good. Just love this. And it's called a small Kephart. And you can see why. That blade. It's a full tang, Scandi grind, satin finish. Now, this is a used knife. It's been used. I'm not even sure you can get them anymore. You can see the blind horse on there. There is this on the back. Can you see that mark? It says 0 on it. I believe that's a maker's mark or a designer mark. Now, Blind Horse Knives, I didn't know anything about them, and I had to look them up. And interesting history, interesting story about how they came up with the name of Blind Horse Knives. Apparently, there were two friends, Dan Copens and L.T. Wright, were friends, and they were sitting down one day just talking. They both outdoorsmen, hunting, fishing, that sort of thing. And they were just, swapping stories. And I believe it was LT that told a story about, I'm going to say an uncle or somebody like that, who built a shed with handmade tools and a blind horse. And they were laughing about that. One of them said, that would be such a cool name for a knife company. Boom! Blind Horse Knives. There you go. And I went and had a look. Now, they weren't around for very long, the partners. They were partners in it. And I believe I'm going to say 2013, towards the end of the year, on their website, they said that they would be closing their doors. It wasn't because of financial issues, I'm pretty sure. I think they just decided to part ways. Now, you can find Blind Horse Knives still, and I believe it's LT that does it. They both went their own ways doing knife stuff. I thought it was an interesting look at the company. They still make these handmade, beautiful knives. All their knives are really well made. Look at how thick this blade is. And, like I said, it's a Kephart shape. It's almost a spear point with that big Scandi grind on it. I'll give you some dimensions because I couldn't find any. I found a picture of it online, but no information. And this thing overall, to the butt, 6 7/8 of an inch from there to there. And you can see it has a lanyard hole, and you can see how it's held together. Nice, solid, full tang. Love this handle, that black Mikada, the canvas. I think it's a really nice material for an outdoor camp knife. When this stuff gets wet, nothing happens to it. In fact, it gets grippier. One of those things. And the blade length, 2 7/8. From the tip all the way there. The actual working edge is a little bit less, not much. But I love this style. I love a good bushcraft, and I think that if you're going to be lost in the middle of nowhere, bushcraft knife is probably your best bet. You can do just about any chore with this. It will limit you on the size of wood you can cut, but if you're persistent, you can get through just about anything. The blade for a bushcraft knife is never longer than, 3 inches is about the max, and this one to the handle is 3 inches, really, right to the handle, which is perfect. That shape, got a nice pointy thing on it, and of course a Scandi grind, very easy to sharpen, solid blade. Solid blade this. Beautiful little knife. And of course it came with this sheath. Now the picture that I saw of this knife, the sheath was different. It was more this style. So, and this has the ferro rod holder. Very cool, and that's what Keith gave me. Beautiful knife, and for me, a walkabout knife. If I'm going to go out and trudge around in the bush and just, do what I do there, this is the fixed blade I think I want to carry with. For a day, you can do so much with this, so much. Beautiful knife. Thank you, Keith, once again. I don't know what to tell you. So I said I had two, right? Well, my brother, Brian, sent me a knife for my birthday. And it came in this box, and it's Forseti knives. And you can see it there, and it came in this nice little box. And I didn't know what it was. He just said in a text, your birthday present's on the way. It is a knife, and enjoy it. And, it arrived in the box just like that. Look at that. Now, like I said, I've never owned a Damascus knife, Damascus steel. Look at this guy. Oh, let me take don't cut yourself off. Look at this. Okay. Is that not a thing of beauty? Look at the steel on this thing. Look at that. I think they call this raindrop. I think. But it's beautiful. It's got those heavy, unusual jimping on it. Look at that. Look at that handle. Beautiful, beautiful knife. And like I said, I've never had a Damascus knife, so very cool. And it's from these guys, and I had to go and look them up. And believe it or not, I cannot find where they're from. I have no idea. I'm guessing. Did come with this sheath. See that? Very plain. Well made. It's a very nice sheath. I like the leather on this. It's very nice. And it has the double stitch. And of course, it does have the extra insert there so you don't cut through it. And it has your belt loop. So this guy goes in right like that. See that? Very cool. Now, if you haven't heard of these guys, I had to look them up. And it's Forseti Steel, and they specialize in Damascus steel. Looked up some information, and I'll share with you what I found. But let's go through the specs on this thing. Here's what they say. Overall length, 9 inches tip to butt. And you can see there is a lanyard in it. The handle material, if you look at this handle, is black micarta, walnut wood, and then brass in the middle. Look at that, these inserts. Beautiful, beautiful knife. This is, for me, this is a display knife for me. It's that nice. Would it work? Probably. It's pretty thick. Look how thick this steel is. So it is a working knife. Now, the actual name of the knife is pronounced Quana. Quana. It's a Quana or Quana Damascus knife. It's all they call it. And here's the interesting thing. On the website, they say that all their knives are named after a famous person. Quana, I'm sorry, was actually a American Indian famous hunter, fighter, and they named it after him. So all the knives they make are done that. Every single knife that they make, Damascus like this, is handmade. Now you can buy, they make these all the time, this one, but every single one is handmade. Now they say that they go to well-known family tradition Damascus steel makers for their steel. And as you can see, these guys know what they're doing, right? Each knife is handmade. They say, there's a picture of it on the website. They say, this is kind of what it looks like. Everyone is handmade. Everyone will be subtly different. So it's a one-off, really. Although there's a bunch out there, every single one handmade. And it has a lanyard hole. Look at this big sweeping blade. Now, it feels sharp, but I was looking and I'm not sure if my brother tested it on something or anything like that. I don't think so. He's not a knife guy. But it's a little furry on the blade. On the front here, it's nice and clean, but down here, there's a little bit of fur. And I bet you if I cut something, it'll catch. Now that I said that, it won't. There, caught. But if I use the tip, it's clean. And there seems to be, maybe just stropping will clean it up. I think that's all it needs. They probably sharpened it but didn't strop it, which is not unusual. You can see their logo right there, hidden amongst the Damascus steel. Beautiful, beautiful knife. And, you know, like I said, 9 inches, handle length is 4.5 inches, the blade length 4.5 inches, so half and half. The Damascus pattern, and what they say is called the raindrop. You can see that. Very cool, very cool. They say the grind is a secondary bevel. So what they're talking about is here's the grind and then the secondary bevel right there. So very nice. It is a nice consistent second bevel. They, you know, strop in it with a, let me do that quickly. Give it a couple of swipes with the strop. Either way. And we'll see if that helps. There's nothing wrong with the cut. This one, I'm not going to cut what you want, but I won't cut my piece of paper. How can I show you how sharp it is, right? So let me look at that. I'm just going to wipe it off here quickly. Like that. Let's see. I probably messed it up. Yeah, it's still a little catchy, but it's good. Look at that. Beautiful. And then, of course, the sheath. I like this leather. Very nice. Pretty thick. Well made. Got a little pattern on it with the double stitch. Very nice. And brand new. So the leather, the sheath's going to have to wear into the knife. So there you go. Look at that. I am, you know, it came in this cool box. Very nice. Like I said, it's Forseti steel is what they call. They do a nice knife. And they have been around since 2015. And they give you this card with all the information about how to take care of it. Clean your knife with warm water, mild soap detergent, dry the blade, and handle immediately after cleaning to prevent rust. A thin coat of knife oil in the blade of your knife will gain beautiful patina. So store it in a dry, clean place. Very cool. A very quick look at 2 knives. One from Big Brother and one from Keith. And I got to tell you, they're both beautiful knives. I'm kind of excited about this one. You know, pretty soon it'll be spring, then summer. I'm going to be carrying this guy. It's, you know, when I do a walk around, if I'm going to camp for a couple of days, this will probably come with me because I'm going to walk about, but I'll take my Knives of Alaska camp knife because that thing is a beast and can do just about anything prepping wood, including big pieces of wood with no problem. Thought I'd just share them with you. It's not really a review, it's just a quick look at them. If I was going to do a review, I think I would, you know, a fixed blade I like to take outside and go chop and cut and play with it. It's snowing and really cold, so I'm old. You'll be safe out there, especially when you're trudging around there, even on a day hike or you go camping. Make sure you are prepared for the worst. 72 hours is what you need to survive out there if something happens. And that's the typical time it takes for them to find you. You got a good knife like this, or a solid camp knife, you're good to go. This will get you through a lot. Help you build a shelter, build a fire, yada, yada, yada. Enough on that, George. And don't forget, like, share, subscribe. You know the story. Summing up the week right now. I will have a review coming up. There will be one next week, early next week, probably Monday or Tuesday. Keep an eye out for it because we will announce the winner of this guy. if you commented and watched the video, you can win a BPS knife. Thanks for watching. Always appreciated. And we'll see you again soon.